Hello, good evening, neighbors and friends. This is your member provincial parliament for York Southwestern, joining you again. Another uh, coffee time to hear your concerns and also your issues of the week. And those of you who are joining us, also Instagram welcome, and also a Facebook welcome, and also Twitter and also LinkedIn and YouTube as well. Welcome, and just give me a minute. I'll just set up a few things here before I begin, and I just want to make sure that also here you are. Just give me a minute quickly. That's not what I want. Just give me a minute. No, just a minute. Yep, just give me a minute. Okay, welcome. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge at this time the land that we now know as York Southwestern is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, and Métis people. Welcome, folks. I just finished a town hall meeting on eye care, and I want to thank also Dr. Heather Shear and Louisa Giacomberti, who joined us tonight. And good evening also, folks who are joining us also Instagram as well. Welcome and meet me at the crossroads. Hello, and also good evening as well. Well, I see also, folks, the dispute between the Ontario government and the Ontario's optometrist is now stretching into its second month. The resulting disruption in service has been impacting our community directly and is being felt right across the province. Over 4 million Ontarians are now without access to eye exams and other basic optometry services covered under OHIB. The root of the dispute stretches back 30 years and involves negligence from previous Liberal and Conservative governments alike. The Liberals delisted routine eye exams from OHIB back in 2004, and now the Ford government is continuing that legacy of cuts. Optometrists in Ontario trail the rest of the country in receiving fair compensation for their professional services, and this needs to be changed. I've had the opportunity to meet and chat with several patients and local optometrists about the current situation. The optometrist didn't make the choice to withhold service lightly, but have been left with little option in the face of the government, unwilling to compensate them fairly. Some of them are concerned that they may have to scale back or close their services altogether. Residents I speak are eager to get this situation resolved and are less interested in placing blame. I share these impatience with them. That is why I was happy to question the government at the legislature about their lack of action and unwillingness to meet optometrists at the table. The impact on our community is intensifying, and the government needs to move swiftly to bring about a resolution. This evening, I hosted a town hall on eye care between this evening 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. And we have also shared and also streamed rather live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and LinkedIn. I have invited local residents affected by the disruption to share their experiences. Some of them have joined us and others could not join us tonight, but I'll be happy to also share their stories as we speak to them. I was joined by local optometrist, Dr. Heather Shear, who discussed the issues being faced by the optometrist in our community. If you have missed it, you can still check it out at YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to see the discussions. I hope you had an opportunity to participated the discussion tonight and also commented your view, and you can also take action as well by also writing to the government and also signing petitions. And you can actually send it to my office. I will be happy to table them. And the aim tonight was to inform residents about the dispute and amplify the impact it is having here in our community here in York Southwestern. The situation, folks, is urgent, and the government cannot continue to bury their heads in the sand and hope the problem goes away. I hope this event will send a clear message that our community wants the government back at the bargaining table, striking a deal that is fair for optometrists and respectful of our patients, especially our seniors and also our children in our community. Those who are joining Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, welcome. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. As I join you every evening, not every evening, every Friday rather, 7 p.m., I share the issues I'm fighting on your behalf at the legislature and also in the community. And we also share those informations with you twice a week to update you what's happening and what we have done, and also to hear your feedbacks and comments as well. So if you have any questions or anything that my office can help you with, you can reach me also by writing to me by email at faisalhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, or you can write to me 416-243-7984. Thank you for joining as well. And thank you for joining us as well, those who are joining on Facebook and LinkedIn and also Twitter and YouTube tonight, and Instagram as well. And also, I've talked about a couple of weeks ago about the crisis on cannabis retail in our community. You know, we have held a town hall on this issue, and York Southwestern has been struggling with the proliferations of cannabis retail locations for some time. They're popping up everywhere in our community, and this is also shows a crisis in looming. We need to control this and to make sure that there is legislations to deal with this issue. One issue that has been of concern is the tendency for locations to cluster in our community, often in underserved neighborhoods. The current framework for approving cannabis retail locations is falling short and not serving our community interests. And I'm also happy to hear and to work with my colleagues. Bill 29 was tabled at the legislature this week and will give municipalities more say in how many cannabis retail shops are in a given area, aligning the licensing system closer to that of a liquor retails. And this is very important. All along we said that cannabis retail should be also handled by the provincial government, but it should be like a part of the LCPA. That way, we will not have the crisis now we're having, and these popping up locations in our community, and they're too close, not even 150 meters, as they said they're going to be. And we have also identified some of them very close to schools. And this is a crisis. I look forward, friends and neighbors and brothers and sisters are looking forward to supporting this measure and other efforts to fix cannabis retail licensing to better reflect community wishes. And I'll be fighting on that, folks, as I also continued to hear your concerns every day. This is a crisis and we need to deal with it before it gets worse. I want to also welcome my colleague Dolly Begum for joining us, and I'm just waving her as well for joining us this evening on Instagram. I mean, she is the great member provincial parliament for the great riding of Scarborough Southwest. She's doing a fantastic job, and if you live, folks, Scarborough Southwest, please join my colleague Dolly Begum's work there and support her whatever you can to help her. And those who are joining us also on Twitter, welcome. And those joining us, Angie and Paul and Nancy, also welcome joining us. And also folks on Twitter, welcome as well. And folks, long-term care has been a huge problem. We have seen what the military have revealed. We knew all along before the military what really they have been doing. Quickly, somebody is just writing something on Instagram saying that I am saying, could you share her information? Yes, definitely. If you live in Scarborough Southwest, Nadia, I think you can actually Google Dolly. Dolly is D-O-L-Y Begum, Scarborough Southwest, and you'll be able to find quickly on her information. Or if you could just send me a quick message later, we'll be able to do that. Or you could actually, let me just do it quickly here. Dolly, just give me a minute, I have to spell correctly. You could then check it, .ca, I believe, Dolly Begum, .ca. That will be her website, and check it out and also connect. I think you live in Scarborough Southwest, Nadia, I suppose. Yes, you could connect her and support her efforts as well, the work she's doing in the community there. Well, the government proposed legislation to reform long-term care in Ontario this week. I was disappointed to find that many of the issues that families affected by the crisis have raised were not addressed by this new proposed legislation. This bill does not change the quality of life for seniors and people with disabilities. It does not give them more care. It does not change the fact that for-profit companies can warehouse them in facilities and cut corners to rack in more cash. This bill does not change jobs in long-term care to full-time jobs with pay and benefits. It does not even guarantee them the air conditioning they have been suffering without. I know we can do better, and we'll be returning to the legislature next week, this coming week, Monday, to express my displeasure with this underwhelming proposal, folks. And I'll have an opportunity to also say something about it. Also, just to announce quickly, folks, we are opening also applications for the second annual Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan Youth Council for York Southwestern, and are now open. So our young people in high schools and also the ages, between 16 to 24, they can apply, and we'll be happy to also monitor them and also give them a forum where they could also gain experience of the work of the provincial government does. And the council provides an exciting opportunity for young people to highlight ways our community can better and identify ways we can support young people across this province. If you are a young person between the ages of 16 and 24 and are interested in making an impact in our community, please fill those applications. If you are interested, you can also check it out. Those applications are also on faisalhassan.ca. You can also do that as well. And if you're having difficulties, just write an email, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca, and we'll be happy to send you those links for you to submit those applications. Thank you. And I have been, folks, joining you every Friday before, during the pandemic, you have mentioned and said that you need for me to be available to you because of the pandemic through virtually. And I have been doing that. Early on, we started Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And because of the beautiful weather on the summer, later on, you guys have said that you guys prefer on Fridays 7 p.m. And that was something I agreed to as well. So I've been continuing to do this from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns every Friday, to continue and to connect and also to update you the work I am doing as your member of provincial parliament, but also to hear your concerns, your questions, and also what's important to you. Because this is important that we keep in touch and hear your concerns. I would like also to welcome my colleague, Andrea Barrett, our candidate for Brampton South. Welcome, and folks, if you are living in Brampton South, please help our sister who will be going to be an addition to the Black Caucus. I'm proud to be a co-founder of the Black Caucus. We are doing a fantastic job, and we need to continue to do those jobs and to also expand the Black Caucus. So Andrea Barrett, our candidate from Scarborough, Brampton South, that's correct. Hello, Andrea, for joining us this evening. Instagram, she's joining us, and hope you're doing well. Well, thank you. Regal Chandel said that keep up your good work. I haven't forgotten you, brother. We will be connecting this Saturdays, coming weeks. You just send me a note, and I'll be happy to meet with you and also to work with you as well. Well, thank you for joining us, Andre Barrett, and also Rage Chandel. Thank you. That comment was for Chandel. Thanks for your comment as well there, for joining me on Instagram this evening. Welcome. Also, in this week, the government outlined their plan to begin lifting public health and workplace safety measures put in place during the COVID-19. The plan calls for lifting of capacity limits at places where proof of vaccination is required, including restaurants and bars and gyms and meeting and event spaces. Religious services and ceremonies can also lift capacity limits if they require proof of vaccination. If current case trends continue to stay at a level we can control, we can be able to lift requirements for vaccine certificates as early as January and bring an end to public health requirements, such as indoor masking, by as early as March 2022. I'm optimistic that we are finally reaching the end of this troubled pandemic, and I am so thankful for all the frontline healthcare workers, heroes, and our champions, and everyone who rolled up their sleeves and received the vaccine. We cannot let our guard down, but this is promising news that you can also check it out for yourself from the government's website as well. I know I speak for everyone when I say that we must not go back. We have to remain cautious and continue to follow the advice of the experts serving on the Ontario Science Table. The lesson of the third wave is still with us. There are no shortcuts to ending the public health crisis. The government's eagerness to make cuts and pull back on supports will not serve York South-Weston in our community. We need a measured approach that will keep the public safe and keep us on the path to recovery. Schools, small businesses, tenants, and seniors across our community are still getting back on their feet. They cannot afford to be tripped up by the government choosing the path of austerity. Now is the time to set the foundation for recovery that is worthy of the hard work and sacrifice of our community. I'm committed to opposing the deep and painful cuts this government has been too willing to consider. Small businesses need another round of support grants. We need a hiring and retention plan for our healthcare system, and we must rebuild Bill 124 that unfairly caps by pay increases for nurses at 1%. There is no substitute for in-class learning, and so we need to prioritize and invest in schools to keep them open and keep them safe. We need basic days that workers can count on and a complete overhaul of long-term care in Ontario, because we cannot make money on the backs of our seniors. There's no money to make in that. We need $10 per day childcare now. Excuse me. We need to institute a rent support program, build more affordable homes, and support first-time home buyers with their down payments. We need swift action on climate change and investments in the Green New Democratic Deal. Our response must be measured, and our impact on average people and families, rather than the corporations and big box stores that have been a priority of this government. We've got to change that. And quickly, if I summarize for you about the announcement of the government on October 25th, capacity limits in select settings where proof of vaccination is required will be lifted, including restaurants and bars, sports, recreation, meetings, and event spaces. If progress against COVID is maintained, and it is intended that on November 15, capacity limits on high-risk settings, including bathhouses, will be lifted. January 17, gradual lifting of remaining capacity limits and proof of vaccination settings may begin. And also March 28, remaining public health restrictions intended to be lifted. So those are just quick announcements with regard to the COVID as well there. For further information, you can check on the government's website as well, or you can also check on my Facebook, my page, faisalhassan.ca. And also this week I had also did also a day of action on education, where I have met the community and have a conversation with the community about education. And I was pleased to meet with community members in this Stockyards neighborhood to discuss the state of education on Ontario, in particular, in our community as well. And this past Sunday, I heard from parents concerned about class sizes and sorely needed infrastructure investment. They are eager to see Ontario catch up with badly needed education funding to make up for decades of neglect from previous government. And I will continue to advocate that this very investments arrive in our community, and we need them urgently now. We can't wait another year. It has to happen. I know next year it will be an election year, June 2nd, but we need investments. We don't need cuts at the moment. Also, nurses in Ontario have worked tirelessly to care for the sick and vulnerable during the pandemic. The Premier called frontline heroes, champions, and the healthcare industry continues to deal burnt out professionals leaving the field, leading to staffing concerns. We need a strategy that aims to keep nurses and BSWs in the field and treats these valuable public servants as heroes instead of afterthought. That starts with fair compensation, friends, neighbors. That starts with a fair compensation and the repeal of Bill 124, which unfairly cap nursing wage increases at 1%. It also includes pay increases for PSWs and full-time work that honors the contribution of the profession. And that's very important that is done. Well, thank you, those of you who are joining Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and also our Facebook page. And thank you for also joining also earlier on our town hall meeting on eye care, where I had a local optometrist, Dr. Heather Sher of the Northwestern Eye Care at the Western and Eglinton Avenue West in Mount Dennis community. And also the government of Ontario continues to stand on the sidelines as patients continue to wait for the eye care they deserve. I have hosted tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. A town hall to talk about eye care and to highlight and to educate members of our community. I have invited local members who are affected some of whom, a majority of them could not join, and I don't know, I will further check it out what happened, but if they agreed to join us, definitely we will want to continue this discussion to make sure we educate the community and they know the true story of what happened. And we know the cuts have started, early on with the Conservative government, and also continued with also the Liberal government under Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty. And as 2004, as soon as they were elected, 2003, they delisted eye care from OHIP coverage, and the Conservatives cuts continues at the moment. So that's also an update on that as well. And the other issues also, folks, important is, and we've been fighting, was also the issue of cannabis. And cannabis is also these popping up locations in our community is something we've got to do something about it. And definitely Bill 29 will be able to do that. Hopefully looking forward to making that bill implemented and moving it forward quickly to make sure that, we tackle these issues of cannabis stores that is coming every block and in certain streets like Jane. Some of you have witnessed that and have shared with me that they are just coming up, popping up. And I think this government made a mistake when they refused to sell it on LCBOs and also have the same control mechanisms of liquor rules and regulations. There's no difference, and now the municipalities cannot do anything about it either. And it's important also we empower municipalities if we're going to this path. But I do prefer LCPO selling this in their stores, and we know they are away from schools and communities, houses and so forth. So that's, I think, the ideal way to sell it. But now, since they have created this model, it's not working for us in our community because they are popping up close to schools. They're popping up on communities where there is more vulnerable people, where there's more young people, and this is not, and there are too many of them around. And that's the concern the community have raised, and it is a concern that I have that we need to do something about it. Also, that the problem of the auto insurance has been also a big issue in our community. And the auto insurance, we have been targeted simply because of where we live, because of our postal code. And that's wrong. Auto insurance should not be based on our postal code. because of where we live. And we have seen that decent and hardworking members of our community are paying too high premium rates of auto insurance. And this is on average in our community, people are paying 3,000. And there are others who are paying more than that, and that's not fair. So just auto insurance to pay this. And because if you're driving a car, you have to have a license and you have to have an auto insurance. So this auto insurance is not affordable, and people are now challenged because of these difficulties of the amount of amount they're paying a month. Furthermore, during the pandemic, the members of our community have told me that their cars have been parked, on their driveways because people were not driving. It was in the middle of the pandemic, so they stayed home, and still it did not decrease. It continued to go up. It continues to go up, and that is the problem. And we need to fix this. And banning postal discrimination is the way to go. That is the way to go, because it should not be based on somebody's address about auto insurance rates. It should be based on the car you drive and your driving history, and this should be, you are responsible, your behavior, your driving history, your behavior in terms of driving of the car. If you're a cautious driver, if you're a responsible driver, then it should not be based on geographical zones, which they have divided the province. I was told they have divided into 52 zones. Even in Toronto, some areas pay less than the others. And we are the communities that are paying higher auto insurance rates. And this is not right. Non injusto. We need to fix it, folks. And it has to come to an end. And we have also put bills. I know that the current critic for the auto insurance is my friend and colleague, Kevin Yard from Brampton North. He has put motions, and also I know the previous critic for auto insurance before Kevin Yard was Tom Rokosevich, my neighbor to the north, Humber River, Black Creek. And he also put a bill to make sure the consumers are protected. What do? This government, they voted down again and again. Also before him, we have Gruton Singh from Brampton East, my colleague from Brampton East, and his bill banning auto insurance in the GTA was also voted down. And they're not interested to lowering auto insurance or banning these discriminatory practices. And it is a big issue, folks. We need to do something about this. And we have been fighting on your behalf to make sure that auto insurance is fair. And it's not based on our postal code, because we don't want to discriminate people because of where they live. And we know, unfortunately, this has happened for too long. An NDP government in June 2nd will end it. We will end it because it affects in our community. And as long as I'm your member of provincial parliament, I will continue to advocate ending postal code discrimination, because it is wrong and we need to end it, period. So you can count on me fighting, and you can count on my colleagues, as I mentioned, Kevin Yard from Brampton North, and my colleague Gurutan Singh from Brampton East, and also Tom Rokosevich from Humber River, Black Creek. Three of them, and also myself, I've also put a motion to the legislature on this. Unfortunately, the parliament was prorogued, and I couldn't debate about it. But hopefully, I will have an opportunity to sponsor a bill to move this forward and ban postal code discrimination. It is time to end it, and we will end it when we form government next year, June 2nd, because this government has shown that they don't care the decent and hardworking members of our community, who follow the rules, who do, everything right, but when it comes to the auto insurance, they ask to pay in some cases 700 a month, 500 a month, and more. And as I said, average is 3,000, and that's too much, and others are paying more of this, and this is not right. Well, that's also on the issue of the auto insurance as well. We know that also the Liberals have been talking about 30 years. They have been talking about childcare and childcare. Now we have an opportunity to get it right, and the federal government is now willing to make a childcare $10 per day, and that to me is the right thing to do. And we want a childcare to be implemented in Ontario. We want Ontario government to sign this. We have demanded it to be signed, and we don't understand why this government, the Ford Conservatives, don't understand the decent, hardworking families, what they need. And childcare is unaffordable in our community and many communities. And this will end this issue, and so that a childcare will be affordable, $10 per day, and it can be done. All he needs to do is sign it, and make sure you also reach them out so that they sign this. And this childcare is important to many of you. Have spoken to me, and you have also had the Liberal candidates and all candidates in the federal election. And we are also prepared to work with anybody. That's why we have proposed ideas with this government and continue to propose ideas that will benefit our community. And this is it. Why I don't understand why they are not willing to sign right away and move on and get with it. And that is what we need to do, because the Liberals have been promising 30 years. 30 years is a long time, and they have let us down again and again. But now the federal Liberals have now committed to do this, and we are prepared to work with them. We need the Ford government to sign this, and definitely we will be pressuring it. And NDP government in June 2nd, we will implement it, and we will end the crisis of childcare in our community and across Ontario. And definitely we'll do that. And also, I know, folks, many of you have written to me about housing, and housing is a crisis. It is crisis. It has been crisis for so long. And I know that also many members of our community have been unfairly treated simply because a landlord wants to evict you because they want to increase quickly the rent. We've seen in many cases continue to happen. We need to do something about it. Well, I welcome here, I think, meet Nicholas. Welcome, Nicholas, for joining me Instagram. And he says, housing is a crisis indeed. Absolutely. Well, Nicholas, just to talk about when this crisis began and how this crisis came to being, and people don't know about this. It's very important people to know this, because the federal government in the 1990s, headed by John Crucher and his finance minister, Paul Martin, have said that they have nothing to do with housing. They're not going to support housing at all, and they have downloaded to provincial governments, and in Ontario, that provincial government, headed by Mike Harriston, and then Ernie Eves, and then Dalton McGuinty, and then Captain Wynne, all of them downloaded housing into municipalities. And municipalities, I know, His Worship John Tory and the city councillors are doing a very good job, but municipalities cannot handle a housing crisis, and because of that, the waiting list anywhere in the province in Ontario alone, the waiting list is long. And because of this, crisis has continued. And we know also the folks don't have a rent control. And we also know that this current government has passed legislations to allowing new buildings to increase the rent as they wish. And this is also creating another crisis. Case in point, Nicholas, I will just talk about a story about my community here in York Southwestern. We had the best farmers market in our community. A second, sorry, a second to none. And that farmers market is basically, we were sold that we were going to have affordable housing. And we have now a building, a tall building here, but it is not affordable. And now they can charge as much as they want. We continue to do that. And we've lost what it used to be, a vibrant and also a second to none farmers market in the city, but we don't have it at the moment. And we don't also, we've lost that land now, and we have a rental, which is good, but it's unaffordable. And they can do whatever they want to increase it. So this crisis needs to be tackled. And how to tackle this is, we already put a plan, a housing plan. And our housing plan has also have options for people, you know? And also we need to tackle the flippers who are creating some problems, and also speculators who are also part of the problem. We need to tackle them head on. And also, we need to also create options for young people or anybody who is willing to own a property and making less than 200,000 to get equity loans and facilitating that equity loans, which will help many people own their first homes, will also create an opportunity for them to solve that crisis of housing. And another way also we will do is also build as well more cooperatives and more housing, and also support people that need support in order to help them. And so that we can also tackle the issue of a long waiting list that is waiting now in many municipalities, including our city of Toronto. And that's also something we can do. And Meet Nicholas says, what are some provincial solutions an NDP government will implement? Oh yes, that's the question you asked. Well, I've just talked about some of the things we should be doing. And I think what we need to do is to take head on the flippers and the speculators. And we need to also make sure that we have options, variety of options for people, you know, those who want to own their own place. We should be able to provide them equity loans so that decent, hardworking people who cannot save money to put down for down payment, they should be able to get that equity loan so they can pay it later. And that, I think, or buy it, that equity later on. And that's also, I think, an idea that has never been done before. An NDP government will implement that, Meet Nicholas, to do that. And also will invest also to tackle a couple of things, the issues also in evictions. We have seen many folks, they're trying to buy a property. It happened in our community, and decent, hardworking members of our community have been just given N13s to leave. So we need also to deal with that and make sure that we end these kinds of tricks that these people are doing to simply just evict a decent, hardworking people in our community. Also, we need to have a rent control. So we have to implement the rent control to make sure that we know that people, they can plan their lives so that every year that the landlord comes in and they have this, what they call above guideline increases. So they can just increase the rent above guideline increases simply because they painted in the front door or they fixed it on the outside entrance of lifting the face of the entrance of the building. But when you go inside, there is no investment in those units. Some of them are old, no money is invested. And I think maintenance should be responsibility of the landlord to make sure that these investments, not only you're collecting a profit, but also you invest in return continuously so that it is a decent place to live. And I think that those kinds of inspections and also making sure that they don't just increase every month and go to the landlord and tenant board, because now the law allows them to do that above guideline increases. And until they push people to simply evict them, because people, their income is stagnant, and they cannot continuously afford that. And there's no, more co-ops haven't been built, there's no affordable housing, there's no direct support for those kinds of folks who have challenges like that. So definitely we need a vision, and we have the vision. And if you haven't read it, you can read our housing plan. It's already there. You can check it, OntarioNDP.ca, or you can email me. You email me, fhassan-co@ndp.ca, and I'll be happy to share with you. And also, Nicholas says, another provincial government created a program to give first-time home buyers a 40K down payment. Do you think a program like that would help Ontarians? Okay, so I'm not aware. You're saying that just giving them away 40K to put down payment? Is that exactly what you're trying to say? I didn't understand. Maybe you can clarify on that if I understand you. What I'm saying and what our plan will do is provide equity loans. In other words, loaning them to put down that down payment, and that down payment, we put them down for them, and then they will be able gradually to pay it back. Not right away. They can even pay it when they sell the house later on, a couple of, many years later. But that equity then can be given when they return it to someone else, so that it continues to allow the working people, the decent, hardworking people in our community to own their own property. So it's not only one option. Our plan provides people the variety of options, but we're saying the equity down payment. Sometimes it could be more than that, 40K, but it could be, there's no limitations of how much that equity be. But I think 10% of equity would be the way to go about it, so that, so that we can help the first home buyers own a property and allow what we see now, young people who live in their own community, a community in which they born into, grown up. They cannot even imagine to own a property in those places. And we need to have different options, different ideas, because the community have different stages in their lives. Some folks are ready, they're working, they have a job, but they don't have the down payment to own a property. And this equity loan will be able to help them this way. And another options for other people will be providing them affordable rent. And one of the ways to do that is have what I talked about, of creating rent control, banning above guideline increases, and also banning, re-evictions, and allowing also those who own properties to also rent their basements, and so on, and so that we could also have more people renting those parts of their basements and other parts of their houses. So that way we could also use that option, so that we could have people, places they could have access to. So, and also the key also is also to deal with the flippers and speculators as well. And we have seen this story on BC, a liberal candidate in BC who was also flipping, these houses and making money simply which was unacceptable, in my opinion. We need to deal with that as well, those flippers and the speculators creating this bubble, and creating a sense of a value that is not there, and we need to tackle that too, because we need to make sure that this crisis is tackled once and for all. An NDP government will tackle it and deal with that completely, because we need a government that solves people's problems and listens to people, because the people of Ontario deserve that kind of a government. Well, thank you, Nicholas, for joining. I hope I answered your questions, and I hope I have clarified for you and quickly. And if you have further clarifications, please let me know. Well, thank you, folks. Those who are just joining, you're a member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, and I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns and take some of your questions, and also hear any comments you might have, and also to update you the work I've been doing on the week on your behalf at the legislature, as well as also in the community. And that's also a way to share information. It's also a transparent way of also to communicate with me, because many of you are not able to visit at the constituency or email us, but this is also a way for you, convenient for me to come to you live on your platforms, and also speak to you those issues you care about, and also to update you what I have been doing and what I have been working. And I will continue to do this until every Friday, to update you, and hopefully we'll see if I'm not doing one Friday and so on. I will let you know ahead of time so that you know it. But other than that, definitely you will expect me every Friday to be with you, to join you live, and also we'll try to also expand as much platforms as we can to participate, to bring to you our Friday coffee and tea and any beverages you like to come and hear. Now you can join us on LinkedIn, you can join us on YouTube, you can join us Instagram, you can also join us also Twitter and my Facebook page. That also we will try to expand other forums, other spaces that you also to come to you and also share informations to you, and so that we can also update you what we are doing, what I'm doing, and also to discuss also the important issues of the week for you. And also, as I mentioned, also that we are also accepting applications for MPP Faisal Hassan's Youth Council. And that Youth Council we have begun last year in 2019. We have recruited young people who have started January of 2020, and they're doing a fantastic job. They're still continuing that a wonderful job. They have been engaged, and now we are taking the second round of applications to continue this tradition, and also to mentor our young people to know what's happening, and also to be understand the role of the provincial government and what the provincial government does, and so that they know those government jobs and responsibilities, so they can also gain some skills and experience. And this is also something I'm committed to, mentoring our young people and giving them also a forum for them to inform the community and get also involved issues important to them, and also to their neighbors, to their friends, to their classmates, and also so that they are able to also bring those perspective to me and to also to the community. And that's also, folks, if you know a young person at the age of 16 to 24, they live in our community. If they don't live in our community, but they go to schools in our community, one of our high schools here, they're also welcome to join us. We're happy to accept them as well. So send out your applications, fill them, and send on my way as well. And those who are joining us just now, you have joined your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. And as I said, you join me every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And so we talk about the important issues important to you, to your family, to your neighbors, to your friends. And this is also an important to me because also I've lived this community over 23 years. This is home, and I'm proud a resident and local member here, and also I'm also honored to represent you as your member of provincial parliament to continue also to fight for our community. And our community have been neglected not only the last 3 years and 5 months and 29 days, but also the last 15 years. And that continued because issues we've seen and issues that have been happening in our community is after we become an afterthought. And I can highlight to you about during the COVID quickly. And during the COVID, they have started giving, testing locations and centers in other communities. And when we asked, we need testing centers in our community, it took us 7 months to get a location at 200 Church Street. And that is a long time, 7 months. That was September 28th. And the pandemic started on March 13th of 2020, and then on September 28, 2020. So that is a continuous fight we had to get that. And also, we couldn't wait for them. So we partnered with our Humber River Hospital and to work with them to also bring vaccines to seniors and members of our community directly into their homes. And that was a very successful because instead of lining up people into queues, which later on we have received many pop-ups that happened, but the lineups was huge. I remember Charles Webster School, the first pop-up we had in our community, people line up. They line up in long lines. Some of them also came early. Some of them, I spoke to one of the person who wasn't even number one on the lineup, showed up around midnight. And then when I arrived early in the morning around 7 a.m., that person wasn't even number one. So think about that. People have waited long lines, and instead of having a location, a physical location where we could have vaccines, we didn't have that. We have pop-ups. But also, I want to thank the many healthcare workers, the Women's Health Hospital, who was instrumental doing those lineups and pop-ups in our community. Also, the Humber River Hospital as well. Also, Westpac Healthcare Center that also partnered a local community hub, Western Mountains Community Hub here in Western and Lawrence, that have done so much giving vaccine here in our community. And also the community health, that is the Unison Radio Jane Hub, that has been also instrumental working with arranging also and working, facilitating those pop-ups in the community, and also a Black Creek Community Health as well. And thanks to each and every one of you for the work of helping our community on behalf of the people of York Southwestern. Folks, thank you for joining me tonight. And that's it for me. Until then, we meet again next Friday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Until then, thank you, and have a wonderful evening, and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the evening, the remaining of the evening, and also have a wonderful evening. Until then, this is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, saying to you again, we will meet again next Friday, 7 p.m. Until then, bye. Ciao.